What up, Gripsters and random YouTubers? Evan here for Grips.com, continuing with Project Get Me Stacking. Today's question comes from Lucas, and it reads, "Hey Evan, I'm not 100% sure how staking works. Is the markup like a fee from the invested money?" And this is a great question that comes from Lucas. And with staking being all the buzz right now, with players like Charlie Carroll turning 100K into 1.2 million and everyone in the community getting a piece of it, you got to expect the other people are asking, well, how can I get a piece of the action? And in terms of getting a piece of the action, that's easy. There are many staking sites out there, which I'm going to talk about in this video, but it's not just about getting a piece of the action. The important thing when it comes to investing in poker players, when it comes to how you can make money investing in poker players, is finding pieces that are going to pay a positive return on investment. And in this video, I'm going to teach you what to look for, what to pay attention to, and some traps to avoid so you can ensure that you are getting in your money good, whether you're betting it on yourself or on somebody else. Let's go ahead and get into the presentation. Project Get Me Stacking, how to make money investing in poker players. Let's go. Today's game plan, we're going to go over 5 things. The first thing we're going to look at is how to find a profitable investment. The second thing we're going to look at is the realities of poker you must understand, because it's easy to get carried away with our emotions and just act on impulse instead of acting rational. And when it comes to money, we don't want to be doing that. The third thing we're going to look at is where to buy action online. There are a lot of great sites you can do this at. Fourth, we're going to look at how to make sure you're getting it in good, because just because someone is normally a profitable investment doesn't mean they will always be a profitable investment. So I'll tell you about some factors to pay attention to there. And finally, I'm going to share some of my recent investing stories, because my approach to investing has drastically changed since I learned more about the whole marketplace and how it really works. All right. So when it comes to finding a profitable investment, there are 2 things you need to look at. The first is what your return on investment, or ROI, is. If you were to invest $100 in a poker player and you expected that, if they played this tournament 1,000 times, they'd probably make $110 on average, then your expected return on investment, or ROI, is 10%. So for every $100 you put in, you're getting $110 back. Now, even if you're putting $105 in, you'd still be getting a profit because you're expecting to get $110 back. And this is where the concept of markup comes in. So the markup is the premium that the player charges for their package. So in this case, we have Charlie Carroll, who's playing the 100K challenge at the Aussie Millions, and he's charging a 1.18 markup. That means he's saying he believes that his return on investment is at least 18%. Because for you to be making money paying $118 for every piece that's normally $100, you need to expect to get at least $118 back. So if Charlie expects to return, $120 for every 118 you put up, you're getting a positive return on investment. If, he gets the kind of return like he did at the PCA, where for every $100 you put in, you get $1,200 back. That's way over the markup, and you're getting a great investment. If, however, he felt his return on investment was only 5% and he's charging a 1.18 markup, then despite the fact he could run good and get lucky, the investor is getting the short end of the stick in that spot. So you really want to determine what you think your return on investment is on the player based on their skill advantage, the competition in the field, all sorts of factors. And then you want to compare it to the markup. If the return on investment is higher than the markup, then you're looking at a profitable investment. If, however, the markup is higher than the return on investment, then it's an unprofitable investment, i.e. one you should stay away from. So when looking to buy pieces, really pay attention to the markup, because that is the magic number that determines if you have a profitable investment or not. Now, why wouldn't the player just sell at face? Well, if Charlie thinks his return on investment is 50% this tournament and he's selling at face, he's giving the investor all of the profits. If, however, he charges a 25% markup, 1.25, and then the investor, buys the pieces, they split the return on investment. Charlie gets the 25% through the action he sold through his markup, and the investor gets 25% because they paid 1.25, but they expect to get 1.5 return on investment. All right. So that's how we find a profitable investment, and it's really about paying attention to ROI versus markup. Now, the next thing is the realities that you must understand. This is poker. This is cards. This is a game that involves luck, chance, gambling. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And we see in this picture right here that Phil Ivey, who's considered the best player in the world for quite some time, maybe still today, is playing a heads-up match against Scotty Nguyen, also a great player. And despite the fact that Ivey probably has a skill advantage in this situation, well, he got set over set, and he's going to get coolered, and he's going to get knocked out of this tournament. And no matter how good someone is at the game, certain times the cards are just going to make it such that they're getting eliminated no matter what. And we have to be at peace with this and aware of this, that even if it's the best player in the field and the guy's hot right now and he's on an absolute tear, luck can still go the other way. And because of that, it's important to look at, what can you afford when you're investing? You don't want to put your whole net worth on one bet, because if your homie gets set over set, your net worth's gone and it's going to be pretty hard to build back up. You want to be investing small pieces of your bankroll when investing in other players, the same way you would when you're building your own bankroll. You don't want to put more than 1 or 2% of your bankroll in play on each cash table you play. Think the same when it comes to betting on other players. The next thing you want to consider is how big is the variance. The smaller the field, the better the structure, the bigger your player's edge, the smaller the variance is going to be. Likewise, in a big field or one with a fast structure, the variance is going to be higher. Now, the potential payoff is going to be higher as well, but don't get seduced by that. The big potential payoff is just going to grab your attention, be an eye catcher, kind of like, you could win the lottery. But the reality is not what is the best outcome that could happen, but what is the most likely outcome, and how frequently is that going to occur? How often am I going to win? How often am I going to get crushed? And those are the things you want to evaluate before betting. Then, based on the likelihood of each outcome, you say, all right, how much can I afford? Can I afford to take a high-risk investment with 10% of my bankroll? Probably not, but with 2% of my bankroll, sure. If it's something that's very low variance and a very sure thing, can I risk 10%? Maybe I can be more risk inclined. And to lower the size of the variance, you want to spread your investments out over multiple events. The more events that you bet on, the better your chance of coming through in one of them will be. Anything can happen in any given tournament, but over the course of 100 tournaments, if all the same players played, you'd expect the better players to come out on top more often than not. So in terms of where to buy action, there are a lot of options online. My personal favorite is Stake Kings. I've sold some action there before, and I found the customer service was fantastic. I found the buying experience to be very easy. Charlie Carroll and Ben Heath are also selling action at Stake Kings, and it's pretty cool because the players who sell on Stake Kings, a lot of them stream their sessions or update on Snapchat, so you guarantee that you actually get some sweat for the money you put up. You don't just pay the markup for your expected ROI, you pay a little bit of that markup for the chance to get the behind the scenes access of, updates on Snapchat, watching the live stream, whatever it is. A few other sites out there that are selling action. MTT Market is one that's very solid. I believe it's a Russian run site. Ustake is a very solid site that came up about a year and a half ago. They are very legitimate, doing everything by the book. And then you got the old schoolers who have been around forever, chipmeup.com. All these sites are very high quality. If you're interested in buying action, I would encourage you to shop around, look at the different sites, see which one you like the interface of, see which one has the most reasonable fees, but most importantly, see which ones has the players that you want to invest in. Because you don't just want to take what's available. You want to invest in the best players in the best situations. And sometimes that might be, checking their Facebook or checking their Twitter to see if they post, hey, I'm selling a package. Is anyone interested? These are public markets. There are also private markets where people sell, such as forums. And the thing is, once you buy someone's action, you kind of get put into their private investors list. So even if you can't buy a lot right away, it's worth starting that relationship of investing in the players that you believe in and that you want to see do well and that you want to be associated with, because down the road when they're looking for potential investors in good spots, you're going to be one of the first people that comes to mind. Finally, we're going to look at how to make sure you're getting it in good, because the markup says one thing. You can say, okay, over the past 100 events, Charlie's ROI in these high rollers has been like 50%, so I'm getting a great deal at 1.18. I got to buy, and that's probably why his package sold out. But you've got to check a few things, because, history doesn't fully predict the future. What's happened in the past is most likely what's going to happen in the future, but there are certain variables that are going to affect what's going to happen today, which I've written down here. The first thing you want to do is check their motivation. How much of their action are they playing for? How meaningful is the money that they have invested in the tournament? If someone has sold so much of their action that they're free rolling, they're probably not going to care so much about what happens. If someone has sold so little action that they're playing way outside their limit and they're taking a big shot, well, fear might get them and they may not play their A game. So you want to invest in people when you know they have a piece that they care about, that they value, but it's not so much that they're going to be feeling anxious or out of their comfort zone, and it's not such a small piece that they're going to be feeling understimulated and not invested. You want to invest in people who have their own skin in the game, because they're going to take things more seriously. Now, this doesn't mean if someone sells 90% of a tournament, they're not going to try hard. You got to look at how much does that piece that they have mean to them, and the more it means to them, the more likely they're going to be to bring their A game. Second thing you do is you want to evaluate their skill edge. How skilled is this player and how skilled is the average player in the field? The bigger the gap, the better your investment, the more you're getting it in good. Third, this is a big one, is you want to measure their mental game. And this one's hard because to do this, you really need to speak to them directly or, check what's going on their social media and stuff. And you need to see, where is this person at emotionally? Are they confident right now? Do they believe in themselves right now? Or are they down and out? Are they in the middle of a downswing and maybe feeling a bit drained and low in confidence? Because when you're going to make a big investment in someone, you want to invest in someone who's going to be bringing their A game to the table. And that means that their emotions are in a good place. Everything is at ease in their life. Next, you want to measure their performance level. Is the player going to be energized, ready to go, ready to battle? Are they going to be tired? That's why, investing in someone at the start of a series might be better than investing in someone at the end of like 3 months of touring, because by 3 months of touring, they're going to be pretty fatigued. So ideally, when it comes to investing, you want to bet on people when they're fresh and feeling sharp. And that's why betting on people after they've taken a rest period from the game is actually a great time to get involved. They're hungry, they're motivated, they're energized, they're clear, they're eager to go out there and perform. And finally, this is a really good piece of advice. It's one that Charlie mentioned in a piece that he wrote, which I'm going to share in the video description here. And it's to spread your risk amongst multiple events. That way, you're going to be less affected by luck and you're going to have a better chance to realize the skill of the player. This is something that I did with Charlie's super high roller and high roller packages in PCA. And I'm going to talk about that when we wrap this presentation. If you'd like to reach me, this is where I'm at. Okay. So, yeah, my stories about investing are, the following. I saw that Charlie was selling a package for PC, and I said, you know what? He's been doing great in these high rollers. I've been talking to him. He's very confident. He's very sharp. He's in a great mental place. I want to invest in this guy. And I said, all right, how much can I comfortably invest? And I said, well, if I was going to play a tournament, I'd feel comfortable putting up about $1,000. So I'm going to invest $1,000 in Charlie. I'm investing the same amount of money I'm comfortable investing in myself, but I'm actually investing in a better player. Now, I'm going to have to pay a slight markup for that, but I feel that it's fair and it balances out. So I took my $1,000 and I spread it over all the high roller events. I didn't bet on the main event because I just had a feeling that the single day, the 2-day tournaments were going to be more his cup of tea than the 5-day main event grind. And right away, Charlie binks off, the first event for 1.2 million. And the first thing, for a second, I was like, shit, I should have bet more. And my emotional mind starts going with that. And then I stopped. I'm like, no, I shouldn't have. I invested the amount that I was comfortable investing. And my guess was that he was going to do well in one of these events. There's no way that I could predict which one specifically he was going to do well in. So it's good that I spread out my variance over all the events, and whatever happens, happens. He ended up bricking the rest of the series, but there was no regret that I didn't just put the whole $1,000 on the first event and nothing on the other events, because that would have been a high risk, irresponsible investment, putting all my eggs in one basket, as the old saying goes. So, your emotions are going to pull you in certain ways. Be like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. But if you just silence the emotions and connect with, your rational mind, you'd be like, no, I made a good investment and I'm happy that it paid off. Yeah, it would have been great if I won all this, but we could say that about anything. It'd be great if we won the lottery every single time we played it. It'd be great if we won the main event every single time we played it. But it's not about what would I love to have happen. It's what's most likely to have happened. When it comes to financials and bettings, you want to bet on what's most likely to happen, not what you wish would happen. So that's my first story of investing in Charlie. And I felt really great about that investment. And I really appreciated that Charlie shared information about how, I'm on a hot streak right now, guys, and I'm probably going to do well, but I'm not going to run like this forever. So please don't overinvest. It was really stand up of him to come out and say that. And I had another investment opportunity come by recently where one of the gripsters reached out to me and said, hey, Evan, I've been invited to play in this high stakes cash game. What do you think? Should I play? I said, all right, how much is it over your normal limits? And it was about, 3x. Like, okay, if it's 3 times your normal limits, then why not sell half or 2/3 of the action? And then you can play it and still be in your comfort zone. Because, it's not just about getting in a good game, but it's about being able to be in your comfort zone and play your A game when you get invited to that good game. So Gripster said, sure, that sounds good. Do you want to buy a piece? And I said, of course, I'd love to buy a piece. But I had to think, how much am I comfortable investing in this player? Now, since it's a cash game and this is something that they play on a regular basis, I feel very good about it. The variance is a little bit lower than it is in tournaments, but at the same time, based on the amount of bullets that are in play, the variance is going to be different. So I said, I'd like to buy this piece, but I would like if you can get multiple bullets so we have multiple shots to do well and we're not just taking one shot and that's going to be it. So that way, although I have a smaller piece of the first bullet, I have a better chance of seeing a positive return on investment. And if they run up the stack right away and they never have to reload, I'm going to make less than I could have if I just put it all on the first bullet. But if I put it all on the first bullet and they bust and then they run it up on the second one or the third one or the fourth or the fifth, now I've missed out. And it's better to get a smaller piece of the much more sure thing than a big piece of something that's very unpredictable. So that's how it works. That's my recent experience. And I used to be someone who would just buy every piece. I'd be like, oh my God, Tonka's selling, I gotta buy, all right, 1.2. Oh man, it's 1.3 now. All right, let me go 1.4. I'm just like, I just wanted the piece so bad where I just got carried away with my emotions instead of being like, okay, like, what is the ROI? Okay, so I'm willing to bid up to that much. And if it goes above that, then I shouldn't bid. I'll just say I'll wait for the next one because it's no longer a good investment. And that's where it's really important to check yourself and get your emotions in a good place when you're dealing with money, because money is very, very important to us and we don't want to be reckless with it. Okay. So now you know the 3 factors to making money investing in players. The first one is, what is the return on investment? The second one is, what is the premium on the markup? And the third is, what is your risk tolerant for wise investing? I hope this video helped you with all 3. And I also hope it helped you to realize where you got to make sure those emotions don't carry you away into bad places, bad territories, bad investments. And you could apply that to other areas in life. You really don't want to let your emotions run the show because they can easily get you into trouble. Now, if you'd like to learn more on this topic of how to make money investing in poker players, check out the article I posted in the video description where I go even more depth on investing in poker players. There's also a great video my friend Nick did on the topic of selling action that covers it very well. This is my friend who had a large piece of PCA champ Galen Hall when he won $2 million. And he also had a big piece of WSOP champ Joe McKeon when he won $8 million. In addition to investing in the players, Nick also did some coaching with them, and that's one other way that you can ensure that you get the best return on your investment. For example, the player that I'm investing in cash games, I'm also doing some mental game coaching with them to ensure that they're in the best state they can be when it is time to hit the tables and hit the spotlight. Okay, and if you'd like to see more videos like this one, subscribe to my YouTube channel. New videos every week. And please share any feedback you have with me about this video in the comments section. And when you're done with that, you know what to do. Take what you learned, go out there, and get stacking. Peace.